Hi, Joomla Component Builder doesn't have unit tests, PHP unit tests in place at the moment. We are planning to do something about that in the future. At the moment, sadly, the only way for us to test the component is to actually open it in Joomla and in the specific area where we are busy with development to test the things that we are trying to achieve. So that sort of assumes that nothing else is been broken elsewhere. Because of object-oriented development, that should be true, because we are decoupling number of methods, and really when we are busy with the compiler, it will not really affect, for example, the admin view. And if we are busy with the admin view, it shouldn't affect the compiler. And that's just simply of the way the code is being segregated. Okay, so for those of you who want to help doing tests on pull requests. So let's say you see, okay, there's a new pull request. It doesn't help you doing old ones because they're already part of the core. Ones that are closed means that they've been merged. That means it's no longer really open for discussion. It's happened. If you discover a bug, you would have to open an issue, and then we'll look at it. At the moment, the only pull requests to be tested is the ones that are open. So you would come to pull requests, and then you'll see that there is an open pull request. Now, what we would try to do as the developers is to try and make sure that our description sort of leaves enough information for you as the tester to know where to look for what. So at the moment I see it's maybe not that clear, but if you go read this issue here, and you go read this issue, which is being referred to in the comment, you'll see that the area that has been worked on. Now, at the moment, we have very few people helping with test requests, pull requests, testing them. And the more we could get involved, the better, because this will obviously ensure stability. Okay, so how to test a pull request? Firstly, you'll have to have a installation of Joomla that does not have JCB installed on it. Okay, that is very important. That means a blank Joomla website. You cannot use a website which has JCB in it. I would also at this stage require that Joomla website run on a Linux operating system. The development of Joomla Component Builder is mainly been focused on Linux, and that is because 98% of the market runs on Linux. Okay, as far as our knowledge goes, it could be less, it could be even 80 maybe, but that's still a huge chunk of the market, of which we're talking web servers are running on Linux. And so Joomla works at its best on Linux, in my opinion. And so at the moment, simply because of the workload and the fact that this is an open source project, it's voluntary, really I'm not making money here, so we are still keeping our focus Linux. And if we become enough developers that there are a group that wants to take it upon them to really make sure that it also runs well on Windows, that will be amazing. But as for me and the team that I am sort of working with at the moment, those of you who have seen Root around, that's somebody that actually a good friend of mine. We're working together, and we are basically really responsible for the core at the moment. Okay, so to test a pull request, you would simply first open the pull request, read whatever has been said here by other developers, and if you understand which area in the user interface, now user interface, we are talking this part, right? We're talking the area where you are working in JCB. If you can make out from this script explanation where in that area are we working, then you are already able to test this pull request. You would simply click on commits, and there might be a few commits here. Okay, there might be a whole list of commits. At the moment there's just one, and I might think it might stay like that, but it could happen that we have been correcting other people's queries in the pull request, and then those corrections will all be added, and you must go to the last one, the one on the last line, and you'll see that there is a button here that says browse the repository at this point in the history. Now literally that means if you click that button, it will convert the repository to the code base of this specific history. So if I click it now, you'd see it takes me back to the code area, but now we see the tree number is changed. It's got this BDOFEB, this long number here. But also you would see that some of the the what do you call it, commit messages have also been changed now, and you'd see that there's that same code here that you're seeing there. Now that means that currently the code that is being looked at here, if you go into these folders and you open these, this is the actual pull requests code together, all of them. So since you're not gonna test the code in a unit test system, but rather in Joomla, you'll simply click on this and download a zip of the code. It will simply grab all this code in the specific history and download it. So I'll do that. I'll click there, and you'll see it also has that very long BDOF, long code. That's fine. It should be like that. You see, okay, and not open it though. You want to save it. So you save that, and that's been downloaded. Okay, so now we have that downloaded package. I've downloaded it to a folder called Downloads Test. There it is, Joomla component, and it's the right file we were looking for. Now we open the blank Joomla website. Okay, so I have installed Component Builder on this website before, but I've uninstalled it, and it's really Component Builder and all the components that you build with it. If you uninstall that component, it really removes itself completely. Everywhere where it's linked in with Joomla, it detaches and clears out the database, which is a smart feature that we have. So that means you can reuse the same blank Joomla website for testing. Now I've gone to install, of course, and I'm going to browse to that package that we've just downloaded. So there I've got it, Downloads Test. I've selected it, and I'll simply click Upload and Install. And so there we go, it's installed successfully. If this doesn't happen, of course, then you'd let us know. Now we would simply go to the component interface, and just for good practice, we will open the various main views. So we would go to components, and then we'll go to admin views, and if you want to be very thorough, you can even open the admin view, and then once it's open, check through its tabs that there's nowhere any errors, and then you could even click save and close to make sure that the save and close method works. This you can then do in each view, and where there is nothing, well, like the custom admin views, there is no views there in the the public version. You can create something if you'd like. That will be excellent, especially if that's the area in which we are working. But according to this pull request, we are working in the components area, and we are working on the export and import of components. So this is really the area that is being looked at. So if I go back to the pull request, and I open it, you'd see that it resolves GitHub ticket 63, which says repeatable fields get added twice during import of package when we import the package a second time. And then this one, GitHub issue 62, full encryption of JCB packages. Okay, so those are the two things that really should be looked at. So in this case, we would then export the current component, just select it like that. Oh yes, another reality is this component is not going to be encrypted yet. So I open it and I just add a key here so that it will get encrypted. I'll save and close. Then I'll need to open options, and I'll need to go to the company and just add some details here so that the company information is ready. Now obviously I know about this, and if you don't, you will be getting messages about it during the exporting of that component. But the idea is that you would stay, you continue following the development of JCB, and then you'll be aware of these things. I'm not going to make any changes elsewhere here. It's not really necessary. I'll just save and close. And now I'll export this dummy component. It should give me a new key. It should tell me where it's stored it. It should show me the owner of the package. Now I could take this path and I could open a new window and then click import and then check everything's working, and I can use the directory path we've just copied, just paste it in there, and I can use this key and I'll click get file. Now it's received the file. This information should be correct. The component being imported should show correctly. Add the key, force an update, continue, and there we go. Install has been successful. Now we could click through all the various fields and check if there's any duplicate fields been created. Now unfortunately, again, the demo version doesn't have repeatable fields, and it was really with the repeatable fields that there was a problem. So in that case, you cannot test it further unless you know how to create a repeatable field. I think, as far as I know, we haven't made repeatable fields part of the public repo yet. Okay, so that is as much as you'll be able to test this repo at the moment. I'm sorry about that. That was a decision not made by me alone, but by those who are benefactors of this project, as well as myself, of course. Okay, so at the moment, that is how you would test a pull request. Is basically looking at the query that is being developed, not the query, the code in the area. You can also look at the files, of course, and I know because of the way Component Builder works, there will obviously be a lot of files where basically just the heading of the file is being changed. It's such a headache, but unfortunately it's part of how it works. And then you can look at files where we've made changes, and you could look at the code. If you see any errors in the code, you can just click here and you can make a comment right there in the code. Okay, and then if you scroll down, let's see, okay, here you'll see there's a whole new code block being added, and to read through it and to see why, okay, so obviously what we've done here is we've added a new field type called dynamic get to ensure that it's not a required field. So that's alright, we just skip that, that should be okay. Okay, this is just language. no, this is fields. This is actually the implementation of that new field. Okay. And here is the encryption method. So we see that the files are being unlocked in this method, and we should see somewhere the one that locks it. Here's the one that locks the files. Okay. So you could look at this, if you see any issues here, you could make comments. And that's really how to help us test the changes. For the most part, it seems really that this repository is ready for merge, and we can actually go ahead. So that's just a quick tutorial. I know it's very basic, and we most possibly overlooking major things that might be important, but just to get you going, open the pull request, read through it. Most of you that are going to help with the pull request testing possibly has purchased the tutorial set, and so you will have repeatable fields in your Joomla component builder, and you could just maybe create a repeatable field, make it part of that demo component, and do an import and export. That's looking at this specific pull request and its testing requirements. Obviously, if you haven't purchased access to the tutorials, I would encourage you to do that to help the project. That's sort of a support area that we are looking to support the JCB development. So we'll be very grateful if you were to support us in that way. And very soon we are planning to make it available that some of the demo components that we have been sort of making part of the tutorial set, that we could actually sell those components individually for much less, so that some of you could get access to repeatable fields and other implementations across JCB for a cheaper price. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.